And I would like to thank everyone for tuning in to my channel. This is my first episode, the inaugural show, if you will. The show is called Keeping It Real, Reggie, and it's got that name because I'm going to keep it real with those that tune in. The show is going to be news based. It's going to be uh, my opinion laced with facts. I feel you can't have a show that is just opinionated without any facts. I will be exploring or discussing, I should say, current events, things that affect our country, things that affect individuals, and each show will have a theme. It's not all going to be about political news or my views. Um, it's actually going to be a little more fun. Uh, I want to also uh, discuss how one is to prepare for whatever event uh, that may come up. Because one of my philosophies is that victory favors the prepared. I say that a lot, and one should be prepared. I will not be biased in my discussions. I'm going to keep it real and tell it like it is. I don't have to be politically correct because no one pays me. And I am not a puppet to the establishment. So, without further ado, I would like to discuss one of the topics that's hot right now today, January 5th, 2016, and that would be the new gun legislation that the president has taken an executive order to implement. My feeling on uh, gun control and gun control legislation, being a veteran myself and being awarded the expert marksmanship with the 45 um, and a sharpshooter qualification with the AR-15, I take my Second Amendment literally. However, with the mass shootings that have taken place, um, having more extensive background checks and things of that nature will not stop individuals from obtaining firearms. If you intend to do harm, you're going to do harm, whether it's with a firearm or a machete. Uh, it doesn't matter. If you're intent on doing harm, having an extensive background check isn't going to stop that. Now, I do sympathize with individuals that have lost loved ones. However, my approach to a situation such as this is we need to start holding family members responsible for the acts that their family members do. And what I mean by this is, for example, if you have a family member that you know is unstable mentally or angry and wants to just react, then it's your responsibility to inform on that family member because you're looking out for the innocent. And it's every human being's responsibility, in my opinion, to look out for one another. Now, you may say, well, how is a family member going to know if someone who is, let's say, bipolar has a firearm? Well, I'm sure you have family functions. I'm sure you are around the individuals enough to determine whether or not this person has a firearm in their uh, possession. But that doesn't answer, or nor will it stop, the gun violence that goes on in this country. I like to look at inner city statistics, and I can say without a doubt, with certainty, and this isn't an opinion because I'll give you a story as to how I know this to be a fact. The people that murder one another in inner cities, they don't go through the proper channels in order to obtain a firearm. So essentially, what this law will do is it will affect law-abiding citizens. It will make it much harder for us to get firearms than it would be for someone who has ill intent. And I will give you a story. I moved to Pennsylvania, and I may have been here for a month, maybe a month and a half. I finally found a barber shop. Well, not being from the area, eventually some guy was just talking to me out of the blue, because if you've ever been to a barber shop, there's a lot of discussion. Well, he asked me if I wanted to buy an MP5, fully automatic, and I said, what? Well, we got to talking, and come to find out, this person was released from jail 2 weeks earlier on a felony drug conviction, okay? And he had a fully automatic MP5 that he needed to sell or get rid of, I guess because he needed money, whatever. Now, if you're a convicted felon, you're not allowed to have any firearm. Can't be in your possession, can't be in your dwelling, or home of residence, where you live or sleep, basically. And he was offering to sell it to a stranger. I mean, he didn't know me, I didn't know him. And it was relatively cheap. But I'm a law-abiding citizen. I don't need to buy a firearm off the street. But that goes to my point. Individuals that are in questionable dealings, they don't go the appropriate route in order to obtain firearms. This guy was out of jail for 2 weeks and had an illegal firearm that he was willing to sell. So any of this gun legislation that these politicians want to invoke, enact, it does nothing to stop gun violence. Inner city gun violence, domestic gun violence. If you want to get a gun, they're out there. That's what they need to focus on. Focus on getting illegal guns off the street. That would be my priority. But it seems that these mass shootings, their guns are obtained legally. And that's why I've come up with my version of a solution where we start holding families accountable for the acts of their family members. And I'm sure people that watch this will say, you can't do that. I'm not going to be held accountable for someone once they reach 18. I'm not responsible to them or for them. You're always going to be responsible, whether you like it or not. The shooting of those two, or actually three, the two news reporters, the one cameraman, the one news reporter, and the person they were interviewing in Virginia. Another tragedy. But you hold that gunman's family accountable for what he did, I guarantee you, people will change. They will start to see, well, wait a minute, I'm going to be held accountable for what you do forever? Pretty much, yeah. And then people will realize, you're always going to be held accountable. Okay, with that said, I don't need to be politically correct. And I've given you the ideology of my show. Oh, let me show you this, because it goes over the Second Amendment. This is my mat that I use to clean my gun, for guns. Um, and I am keeping it real, Reggie, and this was my first show. Thank you very much. If you like my show or you have any comments, feel free to subscribe and send your comment. The next topic that I will discuss is going to be being prepared, and we will define what that means. Thank you very much. Good night.